Oh my god, Man United is saved! Benjamin Sesko prefers to go to Man United over Newcastle. All is resolved. They will not be finishing 15th again. Well, hold your roll, lads. If Benjamin Sesko goes to Man United, that fee is going to be between 75 and 100 million. I don't know exactly where. Man United can be a very X factor in the transfer market. Look at Anthony. I remember when Anthony went to United, the transfer bids were on the 40s, and then all of a sudden I saw 100 million, and I was like, lads, what is going on there? But Benjamin Sesko, in my opinion, like I've said in a previous video, going to Man United over Newcastle is a career-ending decision. But for the sake of argument, let's say he goes to Man United. Now, is this a Man United need? Considering that these lot conceded 54 goals last season. And if you check the business adding, Benjamin Sesko into this equation, they really haven't added much in defense. If anything, they kind of lost Victor Lindelof, who, when his name was called, could be serviceable for the role he played. I understand he's a flop, but you're losing a defender, and I don't see much coming in that's going to be replacing or even coming into the starting 11 and absolutely have a remarkable, change to the defense, because conceding 54 goals, lads, is absolutely atrocious for being Man United, man. 54 goals is a lot. If a big team is going to concede 54 goals, you're going to see big transfers in defense. Instead, we see a front three completely new in Bryan Mbeumo, Cunha, and Benjamin Sesko, let's say, right? And in all honesty, man, I made a lineup here for Man United with what they've got plus Benjamin Sesko, and I believe, a non-bias, this is the best they can do with what they've got. Fully healthy. Onana in goal, because you've got no other choice. I think that should be, let's say they spend 85 million on Sesko. I would prefer to invest 15 to 20 million in a new goalkeeper starting off, because he's probably one of the worst goalkeepers in the Premier League, and he's playing for Man United, lads. So, another replacement. I think De Ligt and Euro has potential, and De Ligt can be serviceable. Lisandro Martinez, when healthy, he's decent, but unreliable. You should go out there and get a center back instead for a 30 million of that. Dorgu and Maserari, I think that's serviceable for next season. You also have Delo, maybe Amad Diallo could possibly play there. I think Amad Diallo's a player that should possibly be in the starting 11, but just doesn't fit the mold. He has to compete with Cunha and Mbeumo, who've just been bought for over 60 million each. So you kind of have to give them preference over Amad Diallo at the moment, even though Diallo, I believe, was one of the brighter spots before he got hurt. Mainu and Ugarte in the midfield. People are going to be yelling at me that Bruno Fernandes, where is he? Well, honestly, I feel like Bruno Fernandes kind of got replaced with the Cunha and Mbeumo signings, and I don't understand why Man United didn't get rid of him for the 100 million that Saudi were bidding for him. You would have not only helped yourself with PSR, with that profit, but you would have got an excessive amount. Imagine getting 100 million for Bruno Fernandes. That is a game changer. You could literally get a new goalkeeper, 2 defenders with that money, and you could definitely be more solid. And then, with the fee that you're already trying to get Sesko for, you could get Sesko and a completely new midfield and defense to fit for Ruben Amorim's system. But I think next season, Ugarte and Mainu, we're going to see how that works. There's been a couple games where they actually look pretty decent together. The problem is Mainu kept getting hurt. Now, I think you could try this out, but definitely need a new midfielder. Bruno Fernandes being in the midfield with either one of these two lads. Even Casemiro being in here, Casemiro has no more legs to be in a 2-pivot midfield with no third midfield to help out. But imagine this. You're going up against Rice, Supamendi, and Odegaard. Or you could throw Marino or Norgard, whoever you want. Those 3 are going to run circles around this double pivot midfield. If you add Bruno Fernandes and replace one of them, or add Casemiro and replace one of them. The McAllister, Wirtz, Dominic, Gravenberg, all these options they've got. They're going to run circles around them. Man City's midfield, I'll even say Tottenham's midfield with Kudus. It's just... It get Chelsea's midfield with Caicedo, Enzo. It's just you're getting outmatched by every single one of these, and I just don't see this midfield really being competitive next season to the point where you're in the top 7. Honestly, Newcastle's gonna run circles around you. That's the thing. Now the front three, obviously, it's a significant upgrade, but to me, you're just gonna look like Tottenham at this point. Tottenham scored 64 goals, but conceded 65. Massive amount of goals. You know, they scored 64 goals. That's the same amount as Chelsea, who got top four. But guess what? They are in 17th. One position above relegation. That's where I see this. Yes, your front three is great. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a great front three if you get this done. It's exciting. You're gonna excite Man United in the final third. But in the first third, that's gonna be absolutely horrific to watch. And I don't understand why Man United has yet to address the defense or the midfield, you know, because you definitely need a center back signing, you know, because somebody gets hurt, Harry Maguire's back in. Harry, you know, I know you got Aiden Heaven, but he's a bit young. He's a bit young, might I ask. You know, I know Maserari can go in defense, but you're going to get the best out of him as a fullback. Ugarte and Mainu, like I said, you just need another midfielder to come in that you don't really lose a step, minimum. And Casemiro and Bruno won't be that. You've kind of replaced Bruno with the signings. Sesko coming in, yes, it's exciting for the fan base. Yes, it's going to get you some t-shirt sales. But the thing is, it's just not what you need. And Man United is a mess. Open heart surgery must be proceeded. And instead, you're loaning out Marcus Rashford. You're selling Sancho for 15 million. You know, you still haven't gotten Anthony out the club. But honestly, it should have started from the captaincy. And it should have been Bruno Fernandes first for 100 million. And then you would have had a lot more to play with to absolutely solidify the defense. Get a new goalkeeper. Get a new center back. Get a new midfielder. And then I would address striker. Because you have Højlund, 71 million. Xerxes, over 40 million. Bruno Fernandes, who you rejected 100 million bid. You've got Amad Diallo, who was looking good last season. You know, this is on the bench. Instead of putting Cunha and Mbeumo striker and throwing in Bruno Fernandes right here. That's what I think you should do. Instead of getting Sesko, at this point, let's prioritize the foundation. You're worrying about decorations when you've yet to build the foundation, man. That's what's going on at Man United, and that's the issue. You next season, you're going to have an improvement in goals. I'll guarantee you that. 44, but defense, man. It can only get worse from here if you're not going to upgrade it. Simple as that. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think Man United will finish if they sign Benjamin Sesko? Personally, it's going to be the bottom half. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.